Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The chairman of Barangay Holy Spirit, Quezon City, claims that Angel Locsin invited anyone to visit her community pantry, leading to thousands of people lining up and killed one senior citizen. Ryan Ang with the story.
Barangay Holy Spirit chairman met with law enforcement agencies to assess if there was negligence in the community pantry of actress Angel Locsin. Chairman Felicito Valmosina said there should have been an earlier intervention on the side of Angel Locsin when they saw thousands of people lining up, stressing that there were limited supplies and not everyone will be accommodated. He added that she should have called their attention or even asked the authorities to tell the people to go home because they cannot be accommodated anymore as their supplies are limited to those who have stubs.
Sabihan ko na ang pulis, sabihan ko na ang tanod, sabihan ko ang task force disiplina, sabihan ko DPOS na pakisabi nyo sa mga tao, 300 lang ho ang kaya ko ipamigay, magsiuwi na kayo, mapapagod lang kayo, mahihirapan lang kayo, magugutom pa kayo. So kung nag-decide si Madam Angel nung alas 7 ng umaga, hindi na nagtagal, hindi na naghirap at walang namatay. Pero wala po siyang ginawang anumang salita.
Valmosina also said that people lined up not because of hunger but because they were invited by a celebrity to go. The barangay chairman said that Angel should not have invited anyone as people from different areas and provinces will flock the area.
Yung sasabihin ni Angel na kaya pumunta doon ng tao dahil sa gutom at hirap, hindi. Kaya pumunta ang tao, pinapunta niya. So sino may kasalanan? Yung kanyang pagpo-post na yan, na anyone is welcome.
Valmosina added that more than 100 persons still lined up yesterday morning, but they asked them to go home. As of now, Mang Rolando's COVID-19 test has come back negative. Mang Rolando's family has been allowed to hold a 2-day wake for their patriarch, and the barangay promised to help organize the wake in any way possible. For News 5, Ryan Ang, we are One News.
Now, to help us understand the issue from a legal point of view, we have with us FEU Law Dean Mel Santamaria live via Zoom. Attorney, good morning.
Good morning, Riza. How are you? I'm fine.
I'm good, Attorney. Let's go straight to the core of the issue. Is Angel Attorney in any way liable for the unfortunate incident that happened at her community pantry?
In my opinion, no, she is not liable. Because it's so sad somebody died, Riza. That's really an emotional thing. But if you're talking about liability, somebody has to go to jail or somebody has to be fined, then you have to have a legal basis for it. And that legal basis should be in the law. And there are two laws which are pertinent in this case. One is in our criminal law. Our criminal law says that any person who without malice committed an act which caused injury, remember, emphasis is on an act, okay? So the question is, what was the act of Angel Locsin? The act simply is putting something on top of a table, some food, setting up the table, putting some food. Probably she might have invited, but the point is that is not an omission. So yung sinasabi natin, Riza, that she should have done this thing, she should have done that thing, she should have asked us to ask the barangay to put some other sentinels there. That is what you call omission, but that is not the one being punished by the law. What is being punished by the law is not omission, it is an act which caused damage. So if it is not omission, only an act, then Angel Locsin's act was just setting up the table and putting some food on the table, which is not punishable by law. So that is the first law. That is your revised penal code. Angel Locsin is beyond the ambit of that law. Our second law is our civil law, civil code, not criminal. It is Article 2176. There, Angel, Riza, The law says if a person commits an act or an omission that injured somebody. But omission in civil law, you have to determine the proximate cause, which is the efficient cause of the injury. If a person took the risk in falling in line without knowing what will happen, then you could not fault Angel Locsin for that person's taking the risk. So you have to consider those things. Liability is very different. It must be based on the wordings of the law. So for me, Risa, there's no case for age. It's an emotional thing, but you have to look in the law to know liability.
Right. Attorney, but what could have she done instead? Because a lot are saying that there were negligence on her part.
Yes, okay. All right, okay. In a loose sense, in a loose way of talking, kung sasabihin natin if we are to say negligence, probably there is. Probably there is because by hindsight, it is so easy to make conclusions. But certain things were unexpected, like the number of people who might have gone there. See, so if we are talking about the loose sense of negligence, and if we're talking about hindsight, well, you could say anything. That barangay captain could say she should have done this, she should have done that, she should have done this, she should have done that. That is the privilege of hindsight. Okay, that's the loose kind of connotation of negligence. But if you're talking about liability arising from negligence, then that's a different thing. That's a different thing. Then you have to look at the law, whether Angel Locsin comes within the parameters of that law. But unfortunately, she does not. Maybe it's an emotional thing. Maybe Angel Locsin felt, miserable. Somebody died, and it is understandable. It's a moral thing. It's an emotional thing. But when you talk about the legalities of a person being fined or being incarcerated, then you have to stick to the strict wordings of the law.
So, attorney, in this case, who has liability then, if any?
Well, for me, there is no one to be held liable because each person in the line took the risk in going there. Remember, Angel Locsin or anybody else or even the president of the Philippines or even the barangay captain cannot be responsible for any person, every step of any person. You cannot follow a person every step of the way because you have to also look at the person who is there. He is an intelligent person. You know what he's doing. He took the risk of what he's doing. So you have to all measure these things. It is unlike if there is a relationship between the two. For example, Lisa, I have an employee. I have a waiter, for example, and the waiter dropped the plate containing a boiling soup to another person. I will be liable because we have a relationship with each other. But a person just going there, any Tom, Dick, and Harry, and then attributing fault to somebody not related, and it's just a stretch of one's imagination to even connect liability.
Attorney, the barangay captain of Barangay Holy Spirit is saying they are now assessing Angel's liability on what happened. We had an interview with them, or our reporter had an interview with them. What are your thoughts about this?
If you are to assess liability, he must consult a lawyer because now the law will be very prominent and the wordings of the law must be strictly construed. You cannot stretch it. The law says any act, if you're talking about criminal law, it does not include omission. Then he must consult a lawyer. You cannot just justify filing a case because you felt bad. You felt bad. That's not the basis of filing a case. You file a case because somebody transgressed the law. And when you talk about the law, then you look at the wordings of the law. It is textual. It is the text which will determine that liability.
Finally, Dean, there are also some people reportedly who died while in line to get ayuda from the government. In this case, is there still no liability on the part of the government or whoever organized the ayuda payouts?
You know, Riza, that's a very good point. Because if you will be consistent on all this absurd interpretation, then surely the government should also be liable. If there are reports that in the line, in the ayuda, there were people who got injured or died, then liability goes to the president. It's just like this. It's just like this, Risa, okay? The president of the Philippines is charged with executing the laws of the Philippines. He is charged with the peace and tranquility in the Philippines. So if somebody died in one nook and corner of the Philippines, somewhere in a little town, will you hold the president liable? He is charged, he is responsible for the peace and order, but you will not. Because there must be some link, some efficient cause that must be pinpointed to hold somebody liable. You cannot just depend on your emotion or your. That's it, Risa.
Finally, the Dean, overall, what can we take away from what happened?
Okay, we take away this thing. Okay, to be good, you must still be good. Do what you have to do to help our fellow men. Fine, but you have to also but you also have to safeguard people coming in, thinking of all the things that might probably happen. Number 3, liability. And if you are to impose liability on a person, be sure that the liability falls within the ambit of the revised penal code or the civil code. In short, in talking about suing people, we are not above the law. There is a law which should be considered, and look at that law, see if the situation is within the law, then file if it is. But if it's not, don't stretch it. Don't stretch it. You will be really punishing some innocent people with just good motives in her heart. Lisa.
Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Attorney. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. That's Dean Attorney Mel Santamaria of the FPU.
Lisa, can I make an advertisement for a while?
Sure, of course.
I have a show tonight at 8 o'clock at 1 PH also, the Dean Mel Show. Our guest is Senator Richard Locsin. You will be, no, not Richard Gordon, I'm sorry. Senator Richard Gordon will be our guest. It's a provocative, informative, and enlightening interview. And there is a prize at the end. Lisa, narinig mo na ba si Senator Gordon na kumanta?
Aba, hindi pa,
Yun.
the Dean. So tonight, again, anong oras po ito?
Maririnig mo siya. 8 o'clock, 8 to 9 p.m. Just right after Rated Corina. Rated Corina comes in at 7 to 8, 8 to 9. The Dean Mel Show. Guest namin si Senator Richard Gordon. Not one, but 2 ang kinanta niya. You'll be surprised.
And
Thank you, Risa.
Maybe we can hear you sing also tonight. Thank you very much. Again, that's Attorney Mel Santamaria. And we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Here are some of the stories we're following across the nation. The Interior Department said the Metro Manila LGUs distributed 67% of its allocated ECQ cash assistance. At this rate, the DILG believes they will likely finish the dole-out before the May 15 deadline. DILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya said that Metro Manila LGUs have distributed 7.4 billion pesos in financial assistance to their constituents. Around 11 million people will receive the cash aid effective affected by the community quarantine in NCR. A total of 22.9 billion has been allotted for the ECQ Ayuda in the NCR Plus areas. The Health Department says not all LGUs may receive Gamaleya's Sputnik V when it arrives. According to DOH Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere, Sputnik V vaccines require storage in a dark place and in temperatures not higher than negative 18 degrees Celsius. DOH says some LGUs may not be able to comply with the vaccine's stringent storage requirements. And the Foreign Affairs Department reminds the public that passport appointments are not being sold on social media. The DFA said that passport applications can only be made through its official appointment system. The agency warns that persons who engage in this type of services run the risk of not getting an authentic appointment or issues with their passport application. And for more, and those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 12 noon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.